What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down some of the tattoos that were seen on episode 4 of Ink Master. So let's get right into it. Once again, welcome back. For those of you who have not seen the episode, this is your spoiler alert. And for those of you who have, you already know that this week's challenge was making metallic tattoos. Once they announced what the challenge was, I was on cloud 9 because this is something I do a lot of back home. So I was going in pretty confident, but we'll get to that later. First, let's check out Stephanie's. Stephanie was tasked with doing a metallic gold carousel horse, and at first glance, I do really love this tattoo, but I don't see a whole lot of metallic shiny gold. I probably would have thrown some extra whites up in that umbrella just to make it feel more metallic. It's definitely more illustrative, but that's what Stephanie does, and she does it really well. The golden yellows and purples work really well with each other, and I really love how that horse almost has this porcelain feel to it. One thing I really like are these blue gems at the bottom, how she kept them nice and simple and didn't overcomplicate it. They really look like gems, and they just add a nice flair to the overall tattoo. I know the judges were commenting on the horse's stance and how it looks like it's not really sitting on the platform, but who cares? It's a dope looking tattoo, but it conveys the message she was trying to get across. It's a carousel and a horse. Could it have been more metallic? Sure. But Stephanie still crushed this tattoo. Excellent job to her. Up next, we've got Jerel, and Jerel was tasked with doing a chrome motorcycle engine with a skull on it. Obviously, there's no motorcycle engine here, but once the client got to Jerel's station and saw a tattoo that Jerel did in the past of a skull, he decided to go that route. And fortunately for Jerel, I think that was the right move, because pulling off a motorcycle engine in this challenge would have been a tough ask. As far as hitting the challenge, I think he nailed it. This thing looks like it's made of chrome. And I personally like the flames that he added because they remind me of an old school hot rod. So he was still giving his client some of the elements of his original idea. Smart move, Jerel. Smart move. The gold tooth is also a really nice touch, just throwing that in there because why not? If I'm nitpicking this thing, there are two things that I would have done differently. I would have liked to see more black in that eye just to make it feel a bit deeper, and I also would have liked to see a thinner outline on that back left horn just to give it some more depth. And I really love the blue in this thing. Again, it really feels like chrome, so I think he nailed the challenge. And it's nice to see that Jerel had his time to shine, pun intended, because the other tattoos that Jerel did in this competition thus far weren't really his style. Excellent job, Jerel. I think you crushed it, my boy. What's up, guys? Big news, I've finally got some merch. I've got this design and many others on a bunch of cool items. We've got hoodies, we've got bomber jackets, we've got socks, you name it, I've got it. And what's even cooler is I got my friend Sabrina's help, who is actually a director over at Disney Animation. That's why they look so dope. I'm super lucky to have her help, and I hope you guys are just as excited as I am. So use the link below and go stock up on a bunch of cool shit. And you know Christmas is right around the corner. Thanks again, Sabrina, for all the help, and thank you guys for all the support. All right, up next we've got Lucy, and if you've already seen the show, you know that Lucy has had some of the worst clients possible. This lady wanted everything and the kitchen sink, and she wasn't budging. Some of us had easier times with our clients, talking them into a different location, or just having an overall easier subject matter, but that wasn't the case in this challenge. Doing 2 peonies alone would take a really long time in this competition, but this client wanted a bee, a gem, the peonies, the melting gold honeycomb background. She wanted it all, and Lucy delivered. If Lucy didn't have to do those 2 flowers, she could have put a lot more time into the bee or the background. Not that it needed it, but it would have been a lot more clear had it not been packed full of shit. As far as hitting the metallic challenge goes, I do really like her melting honey gold background, but the legs kind of get lost sitting on top of that background. And again, those legs probably would have been a lot more visible had those flowers not been there. My favorite part about this tattoo is that blue opal sitting in the center of the bee, because that thing is just killer. And unfortunately, I think it got overlooked because of all the other stuff around it. Obviously, the pink gem is beautiful, and she managed to get all these little white pearls all the way around the border. This thing is just beautiful. Overall, this tattoo is solid. It does get a little hard to read in some areas, but I don't want to put that on Lucy because she gave the client everything she wanted. Sometimes you just gotta listen to your artist, people. But excellent job, Lucy, in dealing with another stubborn client 2 weeks in a row. Real quick, I want to take a break from these Ink Master shenanigans to talk about a company I love so much. And that company is none other than Mad Rabbit, who specializes in tattoo aftercare. They've got something for everyone. Whether you're a tattooer or a collector, they've got you covered. So head on over to madrabbit.com and be sure to use my code PONY20 to save 20% off of your entire order. All right, let's get back to it. Up next, we've got this sick gold pharaoh head, if I do say so myself. I'm just kidding. This thing definitely needed another couple hours worth of work. I didn't realize how much work was gonna have to go into it until I laid the stencil on. I was always one of the first people, if not the first person, to lay their stencils, and with this tattoo in particular, I needed all the time I could get. There are so many colors in this thing, so many little details, and if I didn't pull off that white or it was bleeding too much, this thing would have fallen really flat. I do think I could have used a stronger outline around the entire piece or some kind of background, and I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly or not, but I think Nico suggested adding solid black to the bottoms of whatever those are called. and it would have really set those yellows off a lot more and given me more time. But overall, I'm happy with how this thing turned out, and it was nice to get an attaboy from the judges. Up next, we've got Jenna, and Jenna was tasked with doing a metallic chrome snake handshake. Now that could have been interpreted a few ways, but I don't think this necessarily meets the challenge of metallic chrome. Now that could have been interpreted a few ways, but I don't necessarily think this fits the metallic challenge for a couple reasons. Firstly, there's not really much metallic in this tattoo, and secondly, the client asked for chrome. The chrome hand would have been an easy one to pull off because, hell, she could have made a robot hand or something similar. But as it sits, we've got a color realistic hand, a traditional snake, and just a few gold blood drops. I think she rocked the traditional snake. This thing is simple and clean. The hand does look a little weird to me, but again, I think she would have had an easier time if she just went with chrome. And it probably would have hit the challenge a lot more. I really like her attempt at the hammered gold bracelet, but I think that just ended up eating more time than necessary. She could have used that time to add more detail into the hand. But that's one of the hard parts about this competition. You really got to use your time wisely. But overall, I think there are a lot of solid parts about this tattoo. I just don't think it quite hit the challenge. Up next, we've got Kat with the chrome dragbot tattoo, and this thing is stellar. I absolutely love the nipple rings and what I think is a skirt. I think she conveyed the idea of chrome really, really well, and it almost looks like she was inspired from Sorayama, who was known for making beautiful feminine robot figures. I do think there are a couple anatomy issues with this tattoo. That back far leg around the ankle does look a little thin. The way the hand is sitting in back, how the fingers almost come up, look a little odd. And the way that back leg is sitting almost seems impossible. But hey, it is a robot. For drawing this out of her head, you can't really ask for much better. I definitely think this tattoo deserved a top 2 spot, if not number 1. Bang up job, Kat. Excellent job once again. Last but not least, we've got Joseph with this armor tattoo. I truly think Joseph was really out of his element on this one because none of it really reads metal or armor. Originally, the client wanted this armor up on his shoulder, which I think would have been a better idea. It might have taken a bit longer, but it would have just read as armor right out of the gate. And Joseph probably could have just used a bigger mag and made it look a lot more metallic instead of focusing in on the small detail. The blue gem in the middle was a nice touch, but I don't think it was executed that well, especially if we compare it to Lucy's gem. Again, I just think Joseph was well out of his wheelhouse on this one because metallic stuff takes time and practice. You gotta know where to put highlights and shadows to really make that thing pop off the skin. But luckily for Joseph, Jenna decided to leave the competition, and I don't really know exactly what went on with that, but this competition is very hard and we all deal with stress differently. It was sad to see her go, and I really don't think that tattoo would have sent her home. But I think we all knew that Joseph was on his way out, so luckily for him, he lives to see another day. Let's see if he can pull his head out of his ass and really shine on the next one. So that's gonna be it for our episode 4 breakdown. Be sure to tune in to Paramount Plus because there are a lot of really great tattoos that we didn't get a chance to go over. New episodes drop every Wednesday, so be sure to let me know what you guys think, and we'll see you on the next episode.